Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a truly cinematic, mind-bending what-if scenario. We are looking at a world without oceans. Seriously, what if Earth was just 100% land?
Okay, let's dive into this. We live on a blue marble, right? A staggering 71% of our planet's surface is totally dominated by this restless saltwater abyss. That leaves us land dwellers with just 29% of the surface area. And for all of human history, these massive oceans have been our greatest borders, our most lethal barriers, and crucially, our most generous providers. Literally everything about how our planet functions is dictated by this massive imbalance between water and land.
But imagine if in an absolute instant, all of that water simply vanished. Gone. What if the Great Blue was entirely replaced by the Great Brown? No Pacific, no Atlantic, no Indian Ocean, just land. We'd be left with a single, unbroken, terrifyingly vast continent stretching endlessly from pole to pole. And I really want you to understand that this isn't just a dramatic change in scenery. As we're about to see, losing the ocean is the death of the world as we know it, and the birth of a planet that belongs straight in a science fiction nightmare.
If the water vanished today, the very first thing you'd notice wouldn't actually be the lack of waves on a beach. It would be the sheer, staggering scale of the descent. 4 kilometers. That is the average depth of the ocean. Think about that vertical drop for a second. As the water recedes, the continental shelves, those shallow edges where we currently swim and sail, they would instantly become these massive, dizzying cliffs. They'd stand as towering sentinels overlooking a totally new, jagged, and terrifying underworld.
So the crucial point is, to truly grasp this, you have to physically imagine the scale. Think about your old view, standing right on the edge of what used to be the Jersey Shore, looking out at a nice, flat horizon. Now, picture the new reality. You're standing on that exact same spot, but you're looking down into a dry canyon that is 4 times deeper than the Grand Canyon. I mean, the sheer vertigo of that view would be absolutely paralyzing. The world wouldn't just feel dry, it would suddenly feel incredibly, overwhelmingly large and just empty.
Well, down at the very bottom of those massive drops, you'd find the abyssal plains. These are regions that were formerly hidden under miles of crushing, absolute pressure and total darkness. Stripped of all their water, they're now revealed as the largest, quietest deserts in existence. Imagine the sprawling, alien landscape of flat salt deserts dotted with rusted, upright shipwrecks and bizarre bioluminescent mineral deposits. It would just be a ghostly, desolate wasteland covering most of the globe.
But the real horror of this scenario isn't actually on the ground. It begins in the sky. We kind of have to pivot away from the new dry ocean floor and look up, because the oceans are actually the Earth's thermal regulator. They're our global thermostat. They absorb the immense heat from the sun, distribute that heat gently around the globe through these complex ocean currents, and they drive the entire water cycle. Without the oceans, that vital global thermostat simply breaks.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because this triggers a rapid timeline of cascading climate collapse. Within just months, the moderating effect of the oceans totally vanishes. Continental interiors would see terrifying temperature swings. We're talking blistering 150-degree days, followed immediately by nights that plunge well below freezing. Fast forward a few years. With no oceans, there's no evaporation. No evaporation means no clouds, and no clouds mean absolutely no rain. Period. Fast forward a decade, and the lush forests of the Amazon and the Cascades brown and turn completely brittle. Earth's vibrant green belt is entirely replaced by a global, choking dust bowl. Our atmosphere basically becomes a searing, dry haze of salt and sand.
Meanwhile, down on the surface, the newly exposed geography becomes a singular, confusing labyrinth. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which right now is a hidden underwater mountain range, would suddenly emerge as the longest and most jagged mountain chain on Earth. It would bisect the planet like a giant, towering scar of basalt pillars and volcanic craters. Our familiar globe would be replaced by alien, majestic, and just entirely impassable terrain.
And think about how travel and human connection would change. In the old world, you could fly smoothly from New York to London right over a flat expanse of blue. In this new world, well, while you could technically walk from New York to London, you'd have to trek entirely across the dry Atlantic basin. That means navigating an endless gauntlet of blinding salt flats, active volcanic vents, and those towering basalt pillars we just talked about. Our new world map physically connects every country on Earth, but practically it isolates them more than ever due to the sheer lethal nature of the terrain between them.
Now, amidst the crazy heat and the impossible geography, there's actually a silent killer lurking in this new world. It's an invisible danger that most people wouldn't even think of until it's way too late. The big question is, where does the breathable air go?
50%. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is we so often think the Amazon rainforest and the world's trees for our oxygen, right? But over 50% of the oxygen you are breathing right now is produced by microscopic marine organisms, specifically phytoplankton. By losing the ocean, we aren't just losing our water supply, we are entirely stalling the primary engine of our planet's atmosphere.
The steps to mass suffocation are rapid and honestly pretty grim. Step 1. The marine phytoplankton instantly die off without their aquatic habitat. Step 2. Without those organisms pulling carbon out of the air, carbon dioxide levels absolutely skyrocket. Step 3. As the atmosphere heats up and the rains stop, the remaining terrestrial forests dry out and catch fire, releasing even more carbon. And finally, Step 4. The air itself grows thin, heavy, and metallic. Humanity wouldn't just be thirsty in this endless brown wasteland, we would be actively, desperately suffocating.
So faced with extreme temperatures, a highly lethal landscape, and thinning air, we really have to ask, as the planet dries and burns, where does the remaining life go? How could humans and animals possibly adapt to a globe that has become entirely barren?
Well, we basically become what you could call basin dwellers. Survivors would be forced into mass migrations toward the poles or down into the deepest, darkest basins of the old ocean floor. They'd huddle in the shadows of the old sea mountains, seeking out the last lingering remnants of moisture, which honestly would probably just be toxic hypersaline lakes. Picture nomadic survivors in weathered gear huddled around moisture extractors, literally recycling every single drop of water from their own breath just to see another day. Under these immense pressures, society as we know it would just shatter. The geopolitical borders of today would mean absolutely nothing. Society would collapse into brutal, desperate factions competing for deep water, ancient aquifers trapped miles beneath the Earth's crust. The era of sprawling nations would abruptly end and the grim dystopian era of the fortified oasis state would begin.
And this brilliantly illustrates a really profound realization. A world of all land is not a world of more space, it is a world of less life. The oceans were never just vast stretches of water lying between the lands. They were never just boundaries or borders. They were the vital, essential glue that held every single one of Earth's biological systems together.
To summarize this explainer, we really have to recognize the true value of the sea. The ocean is the heartbeat of our weather. It acts as the very lungs of our atmosphere. It is the cradle of our climate. We so often look out at the sea as an obstacle, right? A barrier to be crossed. But the fundamental truth is that it is our ultimate life support system. It's the only reason we have a hospitable home to return to at all. Without that water, we aren't just losing the sea. We are quite literally losing the earth. So, the next time you stand on a shore and look out at that infinite blue horizon, don't just see water. See the engine of life. And I want to leave you with this question. What part of this terrifyingly dry world scares you the most? Is it the blistering heat, the unquenchable thirst, or the dead, empty silence of the abyssal plains? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. I really want to hear your perspective on this. And if you enjoyed diving into this fascinating what-if scenario, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss our next explainer. Let's keep exploring these incredible concepts together before the tide goes out for good. Thanks for learning with me today.